Hi, accounting class. It's another great day to do accounting. Today we're going to look at some Chapter 8 depreciation methods. I call these ugly depreciation problems because we're going to look at them with realistic numbers. So this is something that a business might actually experience. We're not going to see the nice round numbers. But let's go ahead and get started with this. We're going to be looking at an 8-year asset here. The original cost of this asset is $115,845. It has a residual value of $16,000. And it's expected to produce 350,000 units over its entire life. These are nice round numbers because they're based on estimates. That makes sense. This one's going to have sales tax on the number, so any purchase price of an asset is going to be a number that's not so pretty looking. And here's what's going to make it complicated for the methods. It's purchased basically in the middle of the year. We're going to record depreciation on the straight line, units of production, and double declining method. I don't want to scare you too much. I'm never going to give you a problem with all these challenges in one. I'm just trying to show you a very hard problem so you know all the challenges that you may encounter. But you're not going to encounter this many on any single problem. What we're going to do is we're going to round any rate to 2 decimal places. Keep in mind that a percent is already in 2 decimal places, right? It's defined it as being out of 100. So 10%, the decimal is 0.10, so it's already in 2 decimal form. So I'm not going to carry a percent to 2 decimal. They're already in 2 decimal places. And we're going to, the final depreciation, we're going to round to the nearest dollar. Nice thing about depreciation is we're going to get to exact answers here, but in the real world, if we're being audited, you just have to be materially right on these things. They're all based on estimates anyway, so we just have to be materially right. Alright, so let's start with straight line. Straight line in our formula is the original cost of the asset minus the residual and then divided by the number of the years. So we're going to plug that in. I already have this done. That way I don't do it wrong. Be like, whoops. Alright, so the original cost is $115,845 minus the residual of $16,000 divided by 8. This gives me a full year of depreciation. So every full year will be this, which is kind of nice. Years 2 through 8 are going to be full years, right? So it's just going to be that. This is an 8-year asset, but we have 9 years we're dealing with here because it's a partial year. The first year is just like half a year, and then we're going to have the other half be our 9th year. So we have a total of 9 years that we're going to record here. For the first year of depreciation, we need to figure out how many months we're dealing with, right? So we bought it on July. So we need to account for we're going to round this to the end of July. So we're not going to get into the days. Like I said, depreciation is based on estimates. So we're going to round any month to the nearest month end or beginning. This is going to round to July 31st. So we don't need to depreciate it for any of the months before July 31st. We just need to go into August, September, October, November, and December. So 5 out of the 12 months. So we're going to take the yearly amount times 5 12s. If we do it, we get to 5,200. That's the amount for the first year. And you're going to notice a relationship here in the last year, right? If we had 5 months that we used in the first year to get to 8 full years, it's going to be the other 7 months effectively. Because then that will complete a full 8 years. If we have 7 here, and then these two parts adding up to 1 will be a total of 8 years. If we do the yearly amount times these 7 12s, we get to 7,280. So that answers the question. The next part I'm showing you is just a way to reconcile it, to give yourself confidence that you've done this right. So a reconciliation looks at information from 2 different streams and sees what the 2 different streams of data tell us. If they give us the same number, then we're going to feel more confident about what we've done. So the total recorded depreciation, well, we have 8 years we're dealing with. There's 7 years here. Yeah, don't be confused. It's 2 through 8. We're not including the first one, so it's the other 7. So we're going to have 7 of these, plus we've recorded that first year and this 9th year. So we have all these together equal our total depreciation. It gets to be 99,847. We're going to notice a small variance here because we did round. We rounded this number and some other ones. So because of rounding, we're going to create a little bit of a variance. But what this should tie to is the depreciable cost. Depreciable cost, the total cost that is, it's the if you look at the formula, it's the original cost minus the residual value. The total amount we can depreciate is 99,845. And you see the work we did is off by $2. That's just because of rounding. Again, it's immaterial. we're not going to care about the $2. Realistically, they just might add the $2 to the 9th year and consider it done, right? That way it ties perfectly. Alright, units of production. We're going to start off by plugging it into the formula. Take the cost minus the residual value divided by the total output. You get the cost minus the residual divided by the total output. Notice I'm using this 350,000. I give you these numbers because you got to have them something to multiply to record depreciation. And yeah, this would be a better number to use. The only problem is the business doesn't know it. This is looking into the future. So all the business knows is they estimate it's going to be 350,000. So we use that number in the formula, which is 29 cents per unit. This one got rounded to it's not exactly 29 cents, so it's a rounded number. But we're going to use that as our rate because our rounding rule said to round to do 2 decimal places. Alright, so what we're going to do is just use the 29 cents through all these months. But there's going to be a problem with the last one, so you can just multiply. I know this isn't high thinking right now. It's just taking the amount of output times 29 cents for everyone. Amount of output times 29%. Amount of output times 29%. Okay, we got it. Alright. What's happening here is we've actually produced more than we planned on producing. And what we're going to do at the last year is we're going to make sure that the total amount of depreciation that we record is going to be equal. We're going to force it to equal to this total depreciable. So we want to record this amount of depreciation over the entire life, which is the initial cost minus the residual. So we're going to force this last month to make that true. So we go over here and thinking the total depreciable cost is the same number I just referred to, right? No matter which one you're thinking of, it's the original cost minus the residual. Alright, so we want all of these numbers to equal 99,845. Luckily I had Excel, so I didn't have to add these up. I'm going to confirm real quick though. 96,280. Yes, 96,280. So, I skipped one. For the first 8 years, what we've already recorded is 96,280 if you add up these 8 numbers. So we need to get that 96,280 to this number to fully depreciate it. Get it to that number, so we're just going to calculate the difference and record it. So 3565, that's the difference. That will make the amount of depreciation that we record 99,845, which is the depreciable cost. So we've depreciated all of it effectively. We had to kind of plug in this last number to make that statement true. We have to reject the normal formula because we have an overriding rule that says we're not going to depreciate it below its residual of 16. So that's why we only depreciate the depreciable cost. Alright, double declining balance. This one's harder. We got a partial year to deal with in that first year. So it's not, I'll show you the trick. It's not that hard to deal with until you figure out how to deal with it. Alright, so our normal rate is just going to plug into the formula. It's twice the straight line rate. So the shortcut formula is 2 divided by the useful life. So 2 divided by 8 is 25%. That is a nice even number. Let me see if nothing else. Okay. So the first year though we have a problem. That's 25% for a full year. That's a full year's rate. And we're still using 25% as our rate. We're just also going to adjust it for the fraction of a year. Remember on the first problem we saw that it's only 5 out of the 12 months that we've used the asset in operations. So we're going to take our 25% times that. So 25% times the 5/12 and you get to 0.1. So that's going to be our rate for the first period. We're just mixing the two together. This allows us to just simplify this partial year for the first year. Alright, then it is our normal routine, but remember our rate for the rest of it is the 25% unless we got to reject it towards the end because we don't want to go below the residual. So we're going to multiply across. We're going to subtract the two numbers, 115 minus 11,585. And then same pattern, multiply across, subtract the two numbers, so 104,261 minus 26,065. You get to that, and then, yeah, same pattern, right? Multiply across, then subtract. So we're going to go on a little bit. We got the pattern down. Let's see what's happening here. Let's keep in mind we don't want to depreciate it below, what's the residual here? 16,000. So we're not under 16,000 now. Is this number? No, I can subtract that and it's not under 16,000 somewhere. Here we go. We can't do 25% here. I can show you. 18,556 times 0.25. If I subtract the 4,000 from the 18,000 here, it's going to go below the 16,000. So what I'm going to do to figure it out instead, I'm going to reject the rate. Alright, we can put it there to show we thought about doing that. But what we're going to do is take what it with the prior book value and subtract out the residual value, because that'll tell you the maximum amount we can depreciate it by, 2,556. And then what do we do in the last year here, right? Because we're going to have it for a fraction of the year here. This is going to equal 16,000. Again, it's fully depreciated, so we can't depreciate anymore. So depreciation under this method could absolutely be 0 in a year. If it becomes fully depreciated, you depreciate it by 0. Alright, those are basically all the tricks. Like I said, you don't need to be prepared for a problem this hard, but I do have a bonus problem on there with one of these tricks. So if you prepare for these tricks, you're really not going to find any depreciation problems harder than this. Alright, so nice quick video. I'll see you guys next time.